So this week a very special album came into my life, came into a lot of our lives, I'm sure you'll agree if you're a fan. 1989 from Taylor Swift. We'll just take a pause to just appreciate that. You know, I've been a Taylor Swift fan for a really long time and I loved her way back in the beginning with Teardrops on My Guitar and all of her original teenage country stuff. I was a massive fan of hers way back then. And then, I don't know, over time I sort of like fell out of love with the music a little bit. Not that I didn't like it back with Love Story and all that stuff, I really enjoyed it, but I wasn't sort of like a super fan who was really excited to wait for a new album to come out. But then Red happened and that was just such an incredible album and I've played it to death. It's one of my most played albums for a really long time. So when this one was coming out, I got really excited. I got this on Monday when it came out and I've had it on repeat on my iPod ever since. And I read an article last night, this is now Saturday by the way, so I've only had it for 5 days. But I read an article last night that was like, it was in a magazine and it said the definitive ranking of every track on 1989. And I just totally disagreed with it, like it just was not my ranking at all. Well, a couple were similar, but mainly it wasn't really the way that I would have ordered it. And so I thought that I would do my official ranking of every track on 1989 after my first few listens. So this is just my initial response, this is like my I've had this CD for 5 days and this is how I feel about it reaction, and I'd love to know what your reaction was. Firstly, I would like to say there is not a single track in this album that I don't like. I absolutely love all of them, so changing it into a sort of definitive order was difficult, but I succeeded. I've got my little notepad here, which is very cute, I'm sure you'll agree. It has woodland creatures on it, and I have my little like list in the back. Second, I would like to add that I do not actually have the deluxe version. I think that I can download the tracks that I don't have from iTunes without actually buying the whole CD, but I don't know about you guys. I love downloading music, it's very easy and simple, but there's some CDs that you just have to have. Or maybe I'm old-fashioned like that. So, without further ado, I'm just going to jump into it. In 13th place, we have track 8 from the album, which is called Bad Blood. I would like to say that I do not have an issue with the song Bad Blood, but it is the one that when I get to it, I'm more excited to skip on to the next track. I think that there's another element of this which sounds so silly, but I think because I love Bastille's song Bad Blood so much, hearing another song that is also called Bad Blood but is not that, I don't know, just sort of threw me a little bit. That sounds ridiculous, I realise. It's a good song, it's catchy enough, but it isn't one that ever really sticks in my head for more than the time that I'm actually listening to it. In 12th place, and this one might change because there is a reason that this song is in 12th place, is track 13 from the album, which is called Clean. Something weird happened when I put it onto my iPod and that track seemed to corrupt, so every time it got to the last track, it got about a minute in and then just skipped and just seemed to have caught, and it was just on a loop of one line. So every single time it reached the start of track 13, I just put it back to the start of the CD. So maybe it will be a grower. If you really like it, let me know. When I checked on the CD last night, it's absolutely fine on the CD, there's nothing wrong with the CD, it was just that the track corrupted on my iPod, so no idea what happened there. In 11th place we have track 7, which is called I Wish You Would. Again, pretty catchy, standard kind of Taylor Swifty sort of song with more, this entire album has much more of a kind of like pop edge than her previous albums. Like, they've all been poppy, but they've all still had, I think, that little sort of country twang to them. And I don't feel that 1989 really has that. So this song's kind of like a standard cute pop song, but not really anything to get too overexcited about. This one might be a bit of a surprise one, but in 10th place I have the first track, the opening track from the album, Welcome to New York. I love the concept of this song. I really want to go to New York, and so the idea of it really excites me. You do kind of picture yourself walking around in New York when you listen to this song, and so the actual idea of it I think is amazing, and I do think that the only reason that it's further down in this list is because there are so many incredible songs on this album. It's not because it in itself is not a good song, it's just overshadowed a tiny bit by some of the other tracks. Number 9 on my list is track 10 of the album, which is called How You Get the Girl. I really like this song, I think it's a lot of fun, it makes me want to dance. I was in New York yesterday listening to this album and I actually caught myself like sort of dancing a little bit to this track, which is just mortifying. Thankfully it was like 9 o'clock in the morning so no one was around, but it makes you want to dance. It's cute and it's romantic and it's fun, and it's definitely one that I'll never want to skip past, but isn't one of the ones that I put in my kind of like top half. In 8th place we have track 12, which is called I Know Places. I really like the verses of this track. You can picture kind of like smouldering looks between people in films set to this song. I am one of the people, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm one of the people who every song that I listen to I sort of construct a music video for in my head, and this one I think is a really good one for like sort of tension between people. For some reason, do not ask me why, but this reminded me of season, I think it's 3 of Gossip Girl, when Serena is having a fling with Nate's cousin. Does anyone remember that? She's having a fling with, I've forgotten his name at the moment. He's a politician of some sort, and so they have to be like really secretive about their relationship and whatever, and for some reason the song just reminded me of that relationship, so there you go. Alright, we're getting into the top half of the album now. Not the top half, but the top half of my list. In 7th place we have Shake It Off, which really surprises me because I love this song so much, but I think that just shows you the standard of the songs on this album, that Shake It Off, which is one of my favourite songs of the year, is in 7th place out of 13. I think that says it all. See some of the moments where my dissertation was stressing me out the most? Listen to that, instantly cheered me up every single time. In 6th place, this one was actually really far down on the other list, or pretty far down, but this is track 5 from the album, which is called All You Had to Do Was Stay. I love this. I think this is quite a different Taylor Swift song. She's not really had any other songs really that I can think of that are in this kind of style. Lyrically, it's a pretty typical Taylor Swift sort of song. It is very much, and in fact every song on this album is about romance and relationships and breakups and meeting new people and all that kind of stuff, which is just excellent material for your imagination in terms of, as I say, making up music videos in your head, or not even just music videos. Like, I'm really bad for like imagining like scenes in my favourite TV shows set to this sort of music, so if I hear a song I'll be like, that would fit really well in like my current favourite show, which is Once Upon a Time. There's so many songs in this album that I'm like, yes, that would fit so well for a scene here, or like that would have been a great track to have in that episode. Very sad. But yeah, I think that this song is definitely one of the ones that I'll play the most because I really enjoy it. Don't know why it was quite as far down on the other list, but maybe you guys can enlighten me if you are not as much of a fan as I am. In 5th place we have the 3rd track on the album, which is called Style, and this song is just cool. This is a cool song. It is one that the first time I listened to the CD I did not allow myself to skip back and listen to anything again. I just had to listen to it all the way through and see how I felt, and then I could allow myself to kind of like go back and play them. And this is one of the first ones that I went back to replay because I just thought it was great. It's one of the ones that just instantly grabbed me. A lot of them did, but this is one of the ones that right away I was like, yes, this is excellent. There's a few that are coming up that took me a couple of listens to be like, actually this is excellent, but that one, track 3, Style, right away was a favourite. In 4th place we have what I think is going to be the new single. Am I right in saying that this is going to be the new single? But it is, oh, it's the only one that's track number correlates with its place on this list. It's track 4, Out of the Woods, which I believe is about Harry Styles. Is that wrong? Maybe I'm talking nonsense. I think it's about Harry Styles, and if it is about Harry Styles, that makes a lot of sense because I think if you listen to the lyrics of this song, it kind of, you can imagine how difficult it would be to be in a relationship with someone who you're both in the limelight so constantly. But I just think that this song is excellent. I listened to this like on repeat for about a week before I got the album because it had been released, like the audio had been released obviously online. I don't know how many times I had this on repeat. Every time I opened my laptop, I just opened it on YouTube and just left it. I just kept replaying it over and over and over again. I think it has scope for an excellent music video. Probably has one already, but hey, if anyone wants to hire me to film it, I'm available. Number 3, I think will be a controversial one. Maybe it won't, but this is track 11 from the album, which is called This Love. I just think this is beautiful. I really think this is a beautiful song, and this is one of the ones that I mentioned when I was talking about Style that took me a couple of listens to be like, oh, hold on, this is actually a really lovely song. I just think it's lovely. It's really low key. Lyrically, I just think it's gorgeous, and I love this. It's just, you know, if the other two hadn't quite edged it, I would have said it was like joint favourite from the album, but a couple of others just pipped it to the post. In 2nd place, I have the track that was in 1st place in the other list, and that is track 2 from the album, Blank Space. This song is brilliant, and if this is not a single, I will be hugely surprised because this is definitely single material. It is ludicrously catchy. I cannot get it out of my head. Thankfully it hasn't reached the point yet that it's annoying me, but it is one of the ones that I find myself like walking about even when I'm not listening to the CD, singing along to it in my head because it's just ridiculously catchy. And again, I think just the stories that you get out of Taylor Swift songs, I think that's what bothers a lot of people because they're like, oh, she just like goes out and dates all these people, then writes songs about them. But what I think is a lot of fun is that you can actually feel the stories in each song. You can feel where they're coming from, and when you're listening to them, you can kind of construct, not necessarily her relationship with the person obviously, but you kind of construct, you know, ideas of other relationships and stuff in your head, and I think that that's what's not to love. And finally, can we have a drum roll please? Let's see if I can find a drum roll sound effect. We have track 9 from the album, which is called Wailers Dreams, and oh my goodness, this song is fantastic. My initial instinct was just like, did Lana Del Rey have a hand in this song? Because it's very, very Lana. And I am kind of hit or miss with Lana Del Rey generally, but this song, like, this is Taylor's take on Lana, and it's just, oh, it's amazing. It's a very different kind of song for her. Like, Taylor's songs tend to be sort of sweet and thoughtful and romantic and whatever, but this song's very sexy, it's very passionate, it's just, it is amazing. It is the song from the album that I have listened to the most so far, which is funny because on first listen I just thought like, my first kind of reaction was like, oh, that sounds like Lana Del Rey. And I listened to it and I thought, yeah, that's quite good, but I was, you know, going through the motions of listening to the whole thing. And then the second time I started listening to it, I was like, oh yes, okay, this is going to be a firm favourite, and I've listened to it a lot since. So that was it for my initial reaction to Taylor Swift's brand new album 1989. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that if you're a Taylor Swift fan that you have been loving this album as much as I have. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree or feel differently to me about any of the tracks, which one's your favourite, which one's your least favourite if you have one, if there's any on the album that you dislike, because there aren't for me. And also tell me how you feel if you've got the deluxe CD, and let me know how you feel about the bonus tracks, because sadly I do not have them as of yet, and I may go and invest in them on iTunes at some point this week. So thank you so much for watching guys, I hope that you enjoyed that, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye! Oh, look at me with my cute, oh look at you in Skype. Oh, she just said a cute thing that we have to catch. Oh, he's 10. Oh, look at me sensitive, you guys. I can't be away.